Hey everybody, John Osborne here. Let's go ahead and look at where we are in some of the Forex markets. You can see here in the Aussie dollar, or I'm sorry, Aussie yen, that we broke through this pennant by just a little bit, and we're now sitting right there on the 240 support line here. We did break it according to the daily line, so now I think we can try to expect it to come through and head down lower. We could see it try to move towards the low of 85.845, and this is on a weekly failure to break higher after we kind of got a little bit of a double top going on here. So let's see if we're going to head lower. It's looking like it wants to head lower, but we have to wait until we break through that support trend line. In the Aussie Kiwi, you can see we broke above this previous resistance here a few days ago at 1.07695, and we're heading higher. So it's quite interesting where we are heading towards. We're actually stopping right at this previous pivot at 1.09195. If we can get above that, we should be heading up towards these previous pivots back along. So watch for a move above that resistance. It's looking like it wants to go higher, although we are seeing a little bit of a hesitation on the intraday, the 240. On the Aussie US dollar, we broke through this support, and we are now testing the support below that of 75273 and then retesting the broken support. So if we can get down below that 75273, we'd like to see it head down to 75109, and this is the same line we see here to this previous pit. If we can get through that, then we'll have a nice drop. We are coming down off of this failure to break through out of this descending wedge pattern on the weekly, so watch for that to break lower. The Euro cable, you can see we moved up on a break of this resistance trend line here, and we've come up and pretty much kissed that resistance trend line. That's a longer term one. If we can get above that, then we'll likely head higher to this previous high of 0.88509. But keep in mind, you can see here the same line on the weekly, how we were charting out a head and shoulders pattern, but it didn't follow through, at least not yet. So it's going back up to test that line. So the question is it going to bounce back down again and try to complete this pattern that's kind of fizzling out here, or is it going to break through that line and go up? And it's hard to tell. We're looking pretty neutral on the weekly, although the daily right now is moving us forward. For the cable US dollar, we're also sitting on a trend line here, and you can see how we are looking to break below 1.21145 for today. That line will move up for tomorrow, and if we can break down through that, and it looks like we want to, then we'll be looking for the new target at about 1.19859. Now here it is on the weekly. You can see the importance of that line is also on the weekly, so we've got to break through this point to be able to go lower, so keep an eye on that weekly. And finally, in the dollar loonie, we've been watching this break here. We broke above this daily resistance trend line, went up and tested the previous pivot, came back down and retested the trend line, and before we moved up and went to the next pivot and hesitated a little bit. And now we've got the energy and strength to head higher and heading us up towards the 1.35978. If you're in this trade, good job. At least move your stop to break even, and then keep watching for that movement up towards this previous pivot. If we can eventually get up to there and maybe get above that, we've got a nice rise ahead of us. And we'll look for some other stops and targets once we get closer. But watch for the dollar loonie to head higher. And that'll do it for today. We'll see you at the next time.